3rd, 2019. Now please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Please let the record show that we are all present. Moving on to the approval of the consent agenda. Everyone had a chance to look that over?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, moving on to the approval of the agenda. Anyone have anything to add or delete from the agenda? If you delete anything, it's going to get a lot shorter. No, I'm not going to do that.
Okay. I'll approve the agenda as submitted.
I'll support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Moving on to announcements and communications. Does anyone have anything they'd like to stand up?
Actually collecting taxes, September 14th is the last day, but we're extending it until Monday, the 16th, because the 14th falls on the weekend, so a little grace period.
See you on Monday.
It's right, yes, you will.
Okay, I just have one thing to add to the communications here, and that's if you look in front of you, you have an AOP quotation. And the reason I put that there on next to you today is so you can get a good look at it. And I want to bring that to the next board meeting to get it approved. And it's basically a backwash pump station that will allow us to backwash the solids that are in the backwash tank. We already pay for RUs going to the wastewater plant, and this will make it so we won't have to haul the excess in the tank. And actually, this will also help the
wastewater
sanitary plant, yeah. So that's just on there, just so you guys can take a look at it, see what you think about it. If you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with me or call me. Okay? Anyone else? All right, seeing none, moving on to call to the public. Chance for anyone to stand up, talk about things non-agenda related. Owen?
You guys do a great job.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing none, we'll move on. We're going to move on to the reports. DDA report, Tina?
Yes, I do have a report. Good evening, everyone. So Brian's passing this down to all of you. I haven't shared this in a while, so I thought you might be interested. It's our level of investments that are being made in the township. You'll see on this graph, it'll show the last 4 years, and I've recapped this year to date. So for folks who can't see the graph, I'm just going to recap this here. So in 2015, Lyon Township, there was an investment in commercial and industrial developments of just over $24 million. In 2016, we saw a slight decrease of that, down to $9.9 million. In 2017, just over $19 million was invested. And in 2018, $6.6 million. So that was a little slower year. And the current year to date, we are at the high point in the last 5 years with just over $28.3 million worth of investments with just 4 months left remaining in the year. So I think those graphs are really important. I'd like to start to share that information on our website too as we start to collect more data. We can have some more visual graphics available for the citizens so they can see that information. Do you have any questions on those?
Our graph says 37 million.
37. Oh, it is? I'm sorry. It's 37 million. At 27, I went back a year. Yeah, 37 million year to date. So yeah, so that's very impressive. So we've had a lot of important projects going on. Just wanted to give you a list of some recently opened businesses. So we have a new art studio in our downtown Edge district called Just Dill Art Studio. Jeff Sander has opened a State Farm Insurance agency, and that's in the core district of the downtown. Fraser Cremation and Funerals is now open. That's in the Southwest Business Corridor. And Eric Strand of Strand Insurance in the downtown Edge district. We have some new businesses that are going to be opening very shortly. KinderCare in Lyon Town Center. That's actually KinderCare purchased the Rainbow franchise. So we have a Rainbow childcare that will also be converting over to KinderCare. So we'll have 2 of those in the township. Excuse me. Wholehearted Winery in the downtown core will be opening soon. And also Earthwise Pet Nutrition and Wellness in the Southwest Business Corridor. This is in the Kroger Shopping Center. They're going to be opening shortly. We do have some new business projects that are still currently under construction. I know a lot of people have been asking what's going in next to Kroger. That is actually a childcare. It's going to be a second learning center here in the township. And of course, Zeiss and the Exotic Automation projects are still under construction. Hopefully both of those will be completed before, Exotic might be before the end of the year, but definitely Zeiss in 2020. We have had a couple of businesses that are closing. Brainer's Nursery will be leaving the township, and also Doggy Doo Grooming. They closed, but we do have a new dog grooming company coming in to replace them. Let's see, I also wanted to give you an update on SEMCOG. So if you recall, SEMCOG has a lot of data that they capture on all the communities within Southeast Michigan. And it's always been a concern of mine that their data only looks at zip codes. And as you know, the township has 6 zip codes, so it sometimes makes it very difficult for us to get accurate data. So I attended a business forum on August 22nd, and I was able to confirm that their new program, which is called Community Explorer, not only looks at our municipal boundaries, but also the data is tracked to the parcel. So I will have some information to pass out for you guys later that just has just a brief recap of the type of comparisons that we can get now that the data is so much more accurate than it was before. Excuse me. And then also I just want to remind everyone that Manufacturing Day is on October 4th. Magna is one of the main sponsors, and they will be hosting students as well as Kawasaki and Atlas Copco. And I will, sorry, my allergies are acting up. I will be able to volunteer and attend those sessions, so I'm looking forward to that. And that will conclude my report, just because I'm losing my voice.
Just in time. Thank you, Tina. Any questions for Tina? All right, moving on to fire. Chief?
Good evening, everyone. Brief report tonight, just give an update on the full-time firefighter applications and captain. So the captain was just opened up about a week ago, and firefighters, we've received about 7 applications so far, some from out of state looking to come back home or head back this way, some internal as well. And word today was that they are hoping to hear word on the SAFER grant sometime this month, is what I was told. That's really all I got.
Any questions?
Thanks.
All right, moving on. Get Sergeant Burwell. Anything? Nothing? Okay. Moving on to Planning Commission. Before you start, Patty, I would like to introduce Chris Madigan, our zoning official. He came to the meeting tonight, and I'd like everyone to not say zoning ordinance person. So that's Chris. He's coming in.
Comes to the PC too.
Yeah, he's coming to all these awesome meetings. Okay, moving on. Patty?
All right, we had 2 planning commission meetings in the month of August. The first one was Monday, August 12th, and we only had 1 agenda item, which was the Cider Mill Village PD. And the house was pretty packed. I'd say probably at least over 100 residents or audience participation. We had probably about 22 residents that spoke, but Mike did a good job with asking people to not repeat. So that was actually denied by the Planning Commission. And then we had Monday, August 26th, we had a Planning Commission meeting, and we had a public hearing on the Fairways of Canfield, which is the Coyote Golf Course. And they asked for 3 things. It was a little kind of complicated, but they wanted amendment to the master plan, which we did not take action on because we're going to be reviewing the master plan in its normal way that we always do. It's, you know, we have 5 years. It's 5 years. It's in 2020. Brian's going to start bringing that to us, and we'll take our time and study the master plan and hold our public hearings just like we did 5 years ago. So they also asked for a conditional rezoning and a special land use, which we did deny. So that concludes my report for the 2 meetings.
Anyone have any questions?
Oh, we had a pretty packed house for the fairways also. I'm sorry I didn't mention that. But we probably had, I think we had more at Cider Mill, like 150, more like 100 at fairways. And about 20 people spoke for that. So just some knowledge.
Okay. Moving on, CBA, Elise, anything?
We did not have a meeting in August, but we will have one in September, and it's looking like a great, exciting meeting, 4 items.
Wow,
Yeah.
you guys are moving up.
We are. So I'm waiting that with bated breath.
All right, I see that Robert's not here tonight. Brian, anything for the park advisory?
I'll just note that we worked through the CIP section of, or the Parks Board's section of the CIP at the last meeting. We also, some of the Parks Board members were not familiar with where we can and cannot perform any work up here at the park. And so they invited Republic to come in and discuss options, kind of limits of development, that sort of thing. More of an
Did they?
informational back and forth
Oh,
session.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. It was very good.
Wow. Was it Christine? Christine come in?
That was one, and then she brought somebody else. I'm forgetting her name right now.
Yeah, Christine's the one that's normally up here. Okay, great. DPW.
Thank you, John. Just a couple of things. Every day we seem to add something new to the township as far as new things. The sidewalk has been completed along 11 Mile after a while. We've pretty much completed our SCADA on the wastewater treatment system, which is now on some computers in the township, so we can see what's going on at any time for both water and wastewater, which is just terrific. And we have an appointment set up for our water tower to be inspected, the one by the fire hall, to get a quote on getting that painted possibly next summer, late fall, actually, of next summer. So with that, we're still working on things, but all is well. So thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Bob? Okay. All right, that concludes our reports for the night, and we're going to move on to unfinished business, which is Artesian of Pioneer water discussion. And Ed is on vacation, but I think Bob's got
Yep.
some.
As many of you can tell, the water tower at 9 and Griswold is still under construction. It's hard to tell, but when you look from the ground up, there's panels being added, and then they raise it. And it's hard to tell exactly how many panels. I think it's 3 or 4 so far, but it's going to go up approximately another 40 feet, and we're very anxious to get that completed. The water plant at South Hill is probably 60 to 65% completed. The buildings are up, the roofs are on, the tanks are in the building, the filter tanks. The pumps are in place. So we're making very nice headway there. Remember that we're going to use the 2 existing wells that have been there, plus we put a new one in the ground a year ago. So we're going to have 3 wells feeding that system, and it's going to be a mirror image of the existing one that we just finished at Woodland, and we're very, very excited about that. With that, I'd just like to say, when you run a water department, a lot of work goes into building confidence between the department and the community. And even though we may have a few glitches and hiccups along the way, it's important for the community to recognize that we work very hard every day in supplying high quality, iron-free, safe, secure, and reliable water. And I think our community is totally getting it. And the relationship between water and wastewater and the community is a very important one, because when you deliver a product that people put in their bodies, the community needs to have faith in the people doing it. And that's why we work very hard, and everybody at this township hall from administration to engineering to the building department, everybody is on board, and when they know if something isn't right, they're all working to get it that way, and I couldn't be prouder of the staff I work with, so, thank you.
Thank you for that, Bob. That was pretty nice.
Yeah.
As you all know, we went through a glitch in the system, and we had a lot of phone calls, and we fielded pretty much every single phone call that came through this office, and personally went out, talked to people, and it was just a minor glitch. It's over with, and it'll never happen again.
And they totally get it, and the people are just so understanding, and I'm just so happy and proud of that, you know, so.
You know, it all comes down to backup wells, and it comes down to usage, and we basically we were using about 4 million gallons of water in 8 hours. Okay. These are 5.5 million gallon, 24-hour plants, not 8 hour. So when the new one comes on, which is coming up, and now that the watering season is coming to an end, we just manage it.
Today, or yesterday, we used 2.1 million. Just shows you from a week's difference, you know, so.
We've been averaging about 3.5 million a day.
We have.
Occasionally, we'll get up to that 4 million in the morning.
But just-
We watch the water towers fill after the morning's over. but-
Yep, but as John says, next year, we're gonna be splitting that between 2 plants, and we're gonna just be in such a powerful, strong position.
it'll be strong
to supply this community, so,
Well, we'll have another 1 million gallons of storage too. that we
Absolutely.
Could have used.
absolutely.
And the pressure's gonna be much more substantial throughout the township. You know, we're pressurizing the system from the north side of town.
Yep,
We're gonna be pressurizing it from towards the center, and you know, it's gonna be all good. Everything is gonna be amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. We've been putting out, in the probably last week, we've been putting out pristine water. I mean pristine, non-detectable anything. It's
Yep.
been amazing water.
yep.
So it's really, really, we're in good shape. Any questions? All right, then we're going to move on to new business. Our first one is Wind Ridge, which I always have a hard time saying that unless I go very slow. I don't know why. / Devonshire ITC Road right-of-way. And you want to talk about this a little bit, Brian?
Yeah, I will kick that off. I know these projects came to the board several months ago for some extensions so that easements could be worked on. And we've kind of hit a stopping point, and that's why it's back on your agenda. But for those that are not familiar with these two developments, they're at the very southeast corner of the township. They're Windridge and Devonshire. And you'll notice on this map up on the screen that there is a property splitting the difference between the two. And what that is an ITC-owned property, across which both developments were approved with an approximately 230-foot connector road. And what this road does for both developments is it provides a secondary means of ingress-egress to Napier Road. I'm going to let Leslie go into the specifics on all of the work that has gone into attempting to acquire an easement that is acceptable both to Oakland County Road Commission and ITC, which are both necessary to sign off for this stretch to be a public road. But really the crux of the situation is those two entities cannot agree on conditions that will allow a public road to be built across it. So really what the township is tasked with is determining the best solution for dealing with this. And there are really two solutions really that I believe are appropriate for consideration. The first would be that we allow that section of the road and that section of the road only to become private. So things like normal maintenance and reconstruction of the road, if it needs it in the long term, would fall on the homeowners associations in the long run. So anything from snow clearing or trimming of the grass, crack sealing, all of that kind of work would be split between those HOAs after the development has been built out. Personally, I see benefits to maintaining this road section in terms of connectivity for pedestrians, public safety officials being able to have a full circulation path. Those are my main supporting arguments for keeping this. If we were to get rid of this section of the road, it would result in a third access to Napier Road. The Windridge PD agreement allows for another connection point right here, if you can follow my mouse. One of the lots would be lost with another connection point to Napier Road, so we'd have 3 major connection points within that stretch of road. Our other option is to eliminate that section of the road, and it doesn't necessarily affect Windridge as much because they do have that provision, although I don't think it's the superior solution. We'd end up with potentially less desirable circulation for public safety officials. Any of the residents of these developments won't have as many connection points to sidewalks that are being installed in both of the developments. Not to mention the safety aspect of the potential purchasers of lots in Devonshire that would have a 1,500-foot long cul-de-sac. So we'd have to consider things like potentially desiring fire suppression be installed in each of the residences at an additional cost, of course, not to mention the circulation concerns. So basically, what it boils down to is the planner's recommendation is to allow this section of private road, this section of the road to become private as part of these developments. And we do have some precedents for PDs with private roads. Riverwood, for instance, my understanding is the entirety of that PD is a private road. The Oakland County Road Commission would not accept responsibility for those roads. So with that, I think, Leslie, if you wouldn't mind telling me about the work that's gone into it.
So the negotiations with ITC, not only for the road easement, but also there's a public sanitary sewer and water main that are parallel to the proposed road location. Those easement negotiations began in April of 2016. We have secured the water main and the sanitary easement, but when ITC came back with regarding the road had probably about 20 conditions. That was submitted to the Road Commission and was essentially a non-starter with the Road Commission. The Road Commission has a very basic highway easement form. They don't vary from that at all because then you have all these exceptions and they maintain over 40 communities worth of roads. So for their legal counsel, they were just not interested, and Carol can elaborate. So that was the last, since April of this year, we've been trying to basically get ITC and the Road Commission on the same page so that this section could be public. And I would say a few weeks ago, we said, okay, this is just, we're not getting anywhere. Neither organization is willing to budge. So we talked internally at the admin meeting on what the appropriate action would be and came up with the, really the direction is to come to the board and ask for direction on how to proceed with this, whether to have that small section private, eliminate it, but this is just really where we're at. And it took several years to get here, to be quite honest. So Carol, I don't know if you want to
Yeah,
say any more.
I can add, I was working along with Leslie and I contacted the attorney for the RCOC and ITC and tried to mediate between them to see if we could get some movement. And quite frankly, ITC, because they actually own this land, has certain requirements that the RCOC simply will not accept, okay? And the RCOC said, basically, we have a simple easement, that's what we'll do, and quite frankly, they don't even want this road. Okay, we don't want to take care of this short thing of road. So I couldn't get them together. And, you know, like Leslie said, they have the easements in place for the utilities, but the road, those two will not agree on an easement, so it's not going to move forward. However, ITC, my understanding is, through some contact with the developers, ITC proposed an easement to the developers that are acceptable to them. They are willing to live by the conditions imposed by ITC.
Okay.
With that being a private road, of course.
So basically, what we're looking at tonight is to either say, yes, we want to put a private road in there to county spec, right? It would be built to the county specification. Or eliminate the road and not have the pass-through. I mean, that's what we're here tonight, and, you know. My thought is, I'd rather have the road there than have nothing there. I mean, I'd rather have the private road there, and if they're willing to take care of it, I think it's a good thing. That's my thought. Anyone want to talk about it?
I would agree.
I mean, that's all we have. It's,
My only comment is once a subdivision's built, you hardly ever see the county anyway,
yeah, they don't
so
come
that's
in.
not an issue.
Most of the subdivisions hire snow plows to take care of their,
Correct.
We do.
We do
too.
Do you, John? Hire for your own subdivision? Yeah.
I mean,
You
everybody does.
just can't wait for them. They have too much on their plate. Not enough trucks, and I don't have a problem with the private road. We have private roads all over the township.
This is pretty much a special circumstance also, so,
This is very unique.
yeah.
Would there be some kind of indication that within the PD agreement that this segment would be like top priority for that to be plowed by the HOA to make sure that that part doesn't get forgotten? If RCO, or if, you know, the road, or if they go through and they plow it, I just don't want to see that little segment get ignored, and then we've lost that connectivity. So I'd like something to reflect that.
Well, I think if we are to move this way, one of the things we would want is the agreement between the two associations in writing, outlining what their obligations are going to be, the maintenance, the plowing, everything else that has to come to us to be reviewed and approved first. And then the other thing is, may just be me, but I can't locate a signed copy of the Devonshire PD. Anybody have one? All right, well, we need a signed and recorded copy of the Devonshire PD as a condition of this as well.
Okay.
And I don't know whether the developers are willing to initially establish some kind of fund, maybe for some future maintenance costs to sort of help pre-fund the associations. That's something I think may be worthwhile
Do
to
you guys want to stand
discuss.
up and talk about that at all?
Yeah.
Excuse me, Chris Cousineau representing Lombardo Homes. So we did have this conversation, and I reached out to Rick Saporsky at the Road Commission, who manages the SAD program, to get a basis for what he sees in developments from residents when they want to move forward with SADs for repairs of roads. In his opinion, the roads are generally good for 25 years. I put together a proposal for Leslie. In his mind, when a road fails, you're not going through and replacing the entire section of roads. And what he typically sees is 50% replacement of the curbing, and then you're milling down 4 inches of the surface and replacing that. I provided Leslie with a cost estimate of that, to the tune of $63,000, and that's an amount that we'd be comfortable in providing a slush fund to the association for that repair.
Can we also have included in any kind of agreement that that the township is not going to eventually be obligated to assist this particular homeowners association? You know, we had, what was it? We helped with the approach by Hardy.
Well, that was because we were using that
Right,
with
but
our
I mean,
sledge
and I understand, but I'm just saying that at some point, sometimes we forget, 10 years, maybe 15 years down the line, how did this come to pass? How is there this tiny section that this homeowners association is responsible for, and then they're gonna perhaps come to the township asking for financial assistance, and, this is a situation that has been self-created, and I just would like it at least included at some point that this is not, 10, 20, 30 years from now, the township is not repairing that.
Well, I believe, without seeing it, because I have not seen it yet, but I would assume the PD agreement contains a provision that if the associations would fail to do it, the township would have the right, but not the obligation, to go in and redo it and assess it against all the properties.
Oh, that would be a very good thing.
yeah,
I would
so
like
that-
that.
in the PDs, that's.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
So the condo documents.
So, and
Okay.
we could make sure that that is repeated in this agreement as well. I think that's a good idea.
So the 63,000 that you're talking about putting into a fund, is that basically just for repair? That would be earmarked for repair of that road in the future?
That would be the intent of that money, is direct repair and replacement of that 230-foot stretch of roadway. Yes.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Any questions?
No, I guess, I don't know, I guess I think we're going down the right path with this, but I'm just a little frustrated because this was something that we had brought up when both of these projects were going through the planning process at the planning commission level and at the board level. So, there were 3 different meetings where I said I have concern about going forward until we could get this done in writing. And it's fallen through, and I guess this is a solution. It's not the preferred to have a public road, and I don't know. I guess I'm just frustrated that it got to this point, but I think we're getting toward a solution. And one other thing that we should probably add is if these 2 associations, if they're both taking care of this piece, not to plow one like the south half plow
Right.
and stop halfway through and have a nice big snow barrier before the other side can come through. And I don't know, like I said,
That really doesn't happen. We have this subdivision, we have the same scenario at ours, whereas we have
That's
2 different
true.
subdivisions, and they push them out. They use them as a thorough, everybody
If
uses
they're
it.
smart, they will.
And if they do that, yeah, that's a problem.
And I guess we could try to write a provision that says that the associations will retain the same snowplow company to do the roads or something like that.
Then you get too micromanaging this whole thing, don't you agree with that?
But I think they probably will, would be my guess.
Well, ITC will also have a lot of requirements that will have to be, the legal agreements between the 2 are gonna be interesting because both HOAs have to comply with
Right,
it.
with the agreement.
Mm-hmm. And part of it is probably keeping the road open.
Yes.
Because ITC will have equipment in there, and they're not gonna be okay with the mound of snow on their property that they own. So,
But that's
that was
much
some of the
easier.
example conditions that were in the draft that the road commission wasn't going to agree to.
and I guess we haven't seen those conditions, but I assume that it sounds like you guys are okay with the conditions set forth by ITC.
They forwarded me their boilerplate easement document that I reviewed and that we were both being us and the Devonshire developer were comfortable with, yes.
Okay, any more questions? If not, then the motion's in order to, anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed road through ITC parcel as being a private road with an agreement between the developer and, what would I say, Carol, the developer and the ITC,
That will be required and also between the
Right.
2 associations.
right? And that we need a signed and recorded PD from Devonshire's PD agreement. Also that the developer will put in an account for road maintenance for $63,000. What else? Okay, that's my motion.
I'll support.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Chris. Moving on to the update status of the 11-mile park. Is that you, Leslie?
Do you want me to say?
Go ahead.
Okay. We've been trying to get a face-to-face meeting with the donor for the play structure. And we were not able to do that, but today we did a conference call between Brian and Leslie and myself. And we explained the board's feelings about the approximately $2.5 million, that how the park has continually gotten more expensive, and more expensive. And so we made the request, would it be possible if they could pick another site on the township park up here, or even consider if we could get Safety Town going, if they would put it in the Safety Town development. And she said that they were gonna call, she was gonna ask for an emergency meeting with her board directors and see what their pleasure would be. The problem is I think with their donation, they probably have requirements that they've set up as their own foundation, and they've already made 2 payments to us. So I don't know how, because we don't know the inner workings of their foundation and how they pass out the money, but they gave us one chunk in, I think it would be, let's see, we're into 2018, and another one in 2017. So it's really now in their hands to see if they would consider that. And depending on what they come back with, we'll bring that back at the October meeting. And then, we can make a decision, this board can make a decision if they don't want to do any more on the park, if they want to do more on the park, if, we're kind of at that crossroads. So that was basically, we had a nice conversation, just, I think they were a little shocked as we were, but we explained it in good detail, so. And we want the grant. We expressed very much how we are so appreciative and hoping that they might see another, maybe we could put it up here. And we told them how popular this playground equipment up here is, so popular. And there's always people on it. And in the summer, the little buses come and they bring the kids and they picnic, and so maybe they'll consider that. So that would be great, $200,000 worth of new playground equipment, or in addition to a spot in our park, be fabulous. So we're hoping.
Patty, what happens to all of the developer donations that have been made?
I don't know, we're gonna have to talk to Carol about that. That's also another, I don't have that answer. Carol's gonna have to help us with that. But yeah, we thought of that too. I thought, if we could use that money and start Safety Town, we could have a beautiful little thing over there. It would be really nice. But I don't know. Carol's gonna have to chime in on that, because we've made motions directing it specifically to that park. Or it just stays in an account until we figure out the drainage, or whatever the pleasure of this board is.
I would just hate to see, that money, the developers who do make donations are anticipating it to be used, not to
Yep.
just sit in an account and a residents want it. And
I'm on your side.
Yeah.
We're on the same.
So
Again, I don't know the legality of that.
It's a job
Do we
for
have to
Carol.
amend the PDs? I don't. It's for that one right down there to tell us. So,
I think it's worth noting that if we do have to, or if they're amenable to considering a location up here, we probably have to get moving on it quickly.
yes.
Which means Leslie's going to have a lot of work in a very short period of time, probably, to make sure we've got an adequate spot up here. So it's something to consider depending on the timeframes that we're given. We might have to act quickly at this level.
So that's our report. If that's any
Any-
questions or
Yeah, any questions?
any feedback or any, we pleaded our case pretty good. So, cross your fingers.
All right. Well, we're gonna move on to Patty, your next one. This is a Headley
Okay,
maximum
this is your
allowable millage.
usual, I'm asking for this to be approved, but we will hold the hearing at the Truth in Budgeting when we adopt the budget. So we'll advertise that as required by law, but this is just setting the rates because the county likes to have them by September 15th. If you look, all our millages were reduced by the Headley Amendment, and these are the new rates allowed by law, and there will be no fire stations. That is gone, done, paid for, and we did such a good job. I'm so happy that we only have a few dollars left in that account once Rena audits it for this year. So next year, then that will be done and closed and out, and we own 2 complete fire stations. So the public should be really happy about that. That turned out wonderful. And so that's where we're at.
So you're saying the rates went down?
They did. But remember, you went up 2.8% for the cost of living.
Mhm.
But using my house, my winter tax would go up $6. $6.50 actually. So think about that. I mean, I have a smaller house, but still, that's pretty good for winter. And summer taxes actually went down also because of the school millage, and they were all hit by Headley. But again, the 2.8, so I think mine went up like $20, $25 maybe. So we live in this great community. Your taxes, you know, somebody like me went up like $26, $30. So it's pretty good.
Yep, I think that is good.
So I just need a motion.
Any questions? Patty,
Or any,
before-
can I answer anything, or?
Everybody understand it? Okay, then we need a motion to approve these rates.
Make a motion to approve the 2020 rates as submitted to us by the treasurer.
I'll second.
Do you want something more specific?
No, they're actually 2019 rates that
I'm sorry, the
support,
2019
that
rate.
support the 2020 budget.
yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry,
That's okay.
what she said.
Thank you.
I'll support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Moving on, number 12. Sean, you want to read that for us?
Sure, I'll make a motion that we move into closed session to discuss pending litigation, Cambridge of Lyon LLC versus Charter Township of Lyon, open circuit case number 2018-168390 in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, MCL 15.2680, as an open meeting would have a detrimental financial effect on the litigating or settlement position of the township.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to go into closed session and a second. Please call this by roll.
Lisa Blaze?
Yes.
Patricia Cardinal?
Yes.
Michelle Fish?
Yes.
Sarah Dolan?
Yes.
Jessica Bradlow?
Yes.
John Hicks?
Yes.
Sean O'Neill?
Yes.
All right.
And we may be returning to, probably will be returning to open session following the closed session.
Okay.
We always do to adjourn the meeting. Just to,
But still.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll support.
Okay, will you please call this by roll?
Yes. Chris Enlow,
Yes.
John Hicks,
Yes.
Sean O'Neill,
Yes.
Lisa Blades.
Yes.
Patty Carcone,
Yes?
John Dolan,
Yes.
Michelle Cash, yes.
I will make a motion in the case of Cambridge of Lyon LLC versus Charter Township of Lyon, that the township approve the consent judgment and to authorize the township supervisor, township clerk, and township's defense attorney to sign the consent judgment.
I'll
Support.
Oh, John, support, John.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Any further discussion? All right, please call this one by roll.
John Dolan,
Yes.
John Hicks,
Yes.
Chris Enlow,
Yes.
Lisa Blades,
Yes.
Patty Carcone,
Yes.
Michelle Cash, yes, and Sean O'Neill.
Yes.
All right,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.